Greetings, Northwest. Happy July. How is it that we're halfway through the year already? It's crazy, right? All right, so welcome to July 1st Tuesday. Super happy to have you all join us. I wasn't sure if any of you would be in town, but it turns out some of you stayed. I'm happy about this. Not everybody went to San Diego or someplace less hot, right? All right, so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about fireworks. We've had lots of questions pouring into the substation about "You light it, we write it," which I really love the slogan. We will tell you what safe and sane is. We'll talk a little bit about what you can do, because I know some of you look like illegal fireworks odors. Exactly. I can always tell by the people that look around. And I'm sure a lot of you are going to tell me you have neighbors that are illegal firework lighters. Rest assured, we're going to handle as many as we can and pawn the rest off on the fire department. Right? That's what we should do. I'm just kidding. We actually have a really good partnership this year lined up with Clark County Fire Department, Las Vegas City Fire, that will be out there enforcing the law to the fullest of our capabilities. We'll brief you on that, and then we've been talking a lot here at Northwest about domestic terrorism, what we can do to get in front of it. We truly believe that it's something we need to keep talking about because it keeps evolving. The theories, the thoughts, the hatred behind it keeps evolving, keeps growing, and we want to make sure that you understand what the threat looks like today, as opposed to what it looked like 2 years ago or 15 years ago, to make sure you have the most current information, so when you're out there and you see these things, you'll be able to recognize it for what and who they are. Okay, so without further ado, I want to say a quick thank you to Darren from Albertsons, as always, for spoiling us with your wonderful food. Thank you so much. And thank you to Kawan from 7-Eleven in Sinclair for the pizza, always a crowd favorite. If you haven't been up the street yet to Onion, you're missing out, but you have a small tasting out there of how incredible their food is. He provides us food the last couple of months, and people are raving about it. So Onion Restaurant, right up at Cheyenne and 215. They have the wraps out there in the tinfoil and the chicken fingers, and anyway, I'm sure it's all fat-free. Perfect for swimsuit season. And then the next exciting bit of news I have is we have 2 newcomers to Northwest Area Command, which is a good thing, and we are excited to introduce them to you tonight. Are you guys ready to meet them? Yes. All right, so first, Cindy, you have to actually walk down here. Oh, yeah. So remember a couple months ago, my assistant Marie retired, and we made her cry, and we read her that plaque, and she got all touched. If you missed that, you missed a good one. It was like an episode off of Lifetime TV. But I'm really proud that I have a brand new assistant who, in full disclosure, we've had a 10-year master plan of how to end up together. And we both had to promote up a few different ranks and move a few pieces around the chess table. But somehow the universe has conspired on our side and brought us together. So I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to my new assistant, Cindy. Come here. Come here. So this is my assistant. If you call, she will answer. She's the brains and mostly the brawn behind the operation now. So I just want you to know she's the newest member of our team, and we're certainly honored to have her on the Northwest family. She will come with me and Rick to Summerlin. So when you see her around and you call or you come by the station, make sure you say hello. So Cindy, go. And then I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. In order to be on the leadership team at Northwest, there's a few requirements. Number one, you have to have an unrelenting work ethic, which means that I just work them like dogs. And speaking of dogs, if you want to be on the Northwest leadership team, you have to have a doodle. You guys know what doodles are? They're a poodle plus something, right? So somehow, all of my lieutenants have doodles. And when Tim left to go up to headquarters to take a new job, and I opened up applications, the first question is, do you have a doodle? And if the answer was no, I threw their application application away. So one answered that question appropriately and also had the unrelenting work ethic and is been on this department just over 15 years. He spent a significant amount of time doing some really secret squirrel detective work, and he comes to us with a background in Homeland Security and repeat offenders program and all kinds of other things I'll let him tell you about. But we're really excited to introduce our new graveyard lieutenant, what we call Rick 2.0, or Lieutenant Myers. And tonight is his first Tuesday, so everything you see and hear tonight, he has planned and coordinated and done. And I'm going to pass the microphone over to him. I just wanted to introduce him and let you guys know you're in very good hands tonight. And we're happy to have Lieutenant Myers on our leadership team.
I'm going to try it without that. Thanks, Captain Larkin. And it's good to know that I won by default as Doodle. So my background, like the captain said, is in a little bit more covert environment. So this is all new to me. And so I appreciate you coming here and giving me a hard time to get my teeth wet and being part of the citizenry and outreach that we do at Northwest Area Command and here at the police department. When I was hired on, I spent a few years in patrol here at Northwest and on the southeast side of town. And then I went to our firearms investigation detail. In firearms investigation, we combated gun trafficking cases, and works covertly and undercover with firearms related cases. I spent about 3.5 years there. From there I went to our repeat offender detail. Their whole goal is surveillance on hardened career criminals that deserve to go back to prison and are actively committing crimes. I was there for about 3 years. I promoted to sergeant. I spent 13 months on graveyard at Convention Center Area Command. I came back up here for another 6 months on graveyard. And then I went to our special investigation section. The Special Investigation Section is responsible for regulated privileged business licensing investigations, and I had the Covert Investigative Squad. So it was a really rough assignment. I spent a lot of nights in nightclubs and bars and ensuring that they were following with their liquor license regulations and NRS and city and county codes. It really was long nights, to be honest with you. From there, I was lucky enough to be taken to the counterterrorism section, where I was privileged to lead one of the men that you're going to hear from tonight, Detective Ken Mead. I spent about a little over 2.5 years, or a little under 2.5 years there, and decided to study and take the lieutenant's test. For the first 7 months of being a lieutenant, I was a watch commander, and I worked on our day shift from 8:30 in the morning to 8:30 at night. Watch commander is responsible for all of the policing operations within Metro's jurisdiction. And then I came up to Northwest, and now I forgot what the sun looks like until I walk out at about 5:30 in the morning and go, oh, that hurts. So I have privileged to be back at Northwest Area Commands. The captain says they always come home. I have a vested interest in this area command. I have family that lives out here, and it's awesome to be back, see some of the leadership and the officers that were here when I was here. And I hope that we can provide you the policing service that you would expect from our organization. And then also, I ask you to remember the men and women that work for me that are out there at night and the grind that they put every night, because that's my expectation of them, to make sure that everybody else in this area command sleeps safely at night. One of the other privileges that I've had since I came to Northwest Area Command is leading the briefings on the nights that I work. And the first Friday night that I came into work, there was a whole bunch of treats for my officers. And it was really weird. When I worked patrol, that didn't happen. And I couldn't figure out what it was. So I looked at one of my sergeants and I whispered to her, I said, what is this stuff? And she said that there is a church that brings in food for our officers. And then she said, not only is there a church that brings in food for our officers, but their pastor comes and he typically closes briefing with a word of prayer. And I was touched by that. The fact that his congregation can take the time to bring my officers food. Because on graveyard, sometimes we don't put out a bunch of officers, and those officers for 10 hours go all night long. And they're lucky if they can find a bathroom to go to the bathroom in. So for Pastor Mayberry to take the time out of his day to not only get his congregation at Orchard Baptist Church to bring us food, but then also sometimes the conversations that I have to have with my officers are a little abrupt. I was also a Marine prior to coming on the department. So I'm not necessarily very good at sugarcoating. And so the wives and family members in here of my officers probably have heard my name negatively at times. So for me to be able to look in the back of the room and have the pastor back there to close a negative interaction or a positive interaction, each one, actually I try to end on a positive note. Believe it or not, I want my officers to go out there with a smile. At least I know they leave with a smile. But Pastor Mayberry does a great job of bringing that together for us, and then also centering our officers no matter who their God is. So I want to take this minute to give a commendable action to Pastor Tony Mayberry. Pastor Mayberry, every Friday night since my arrival at Northwest Area Command, whether rain or shine, you were always here to send my officers out to the streets. I had to throw that in because it felt like this, like March and April, every Friday night, it just poured on us. So the rain or shine was just because of that. Your congregation at Orchard Baptist Church always provides the officers of Northwest Area Command with some snacks for their shifts. I have no doubt that these snacks have been these officers' lunches during their busier shifts. The prayers you leave my officers with are always a great reminder for them that not only does their God watch over them, but there are many members of the Las Vegas community who pray for their safety nightly. I have no doubt this makes the officers you impact feel better going out to face the evils of their job. Thank you for your continued support and partnership with the Las Vegas Metro Police Department and our Northwest Area Command. Pastor Mayberry, come down, please, sir. Good evening, Northwest Area Command residents. Tonight, I'd like to take the time to tell you a little bit about one of the calls that Northwest Area Command graveyard officers went on, which in my opinion leads these officers to be the Officers of the Month here at Northwest Area Command. The team that night was led by Sergeant Kevin Zafaris. On his team were officers Abbott, Austin, Roski, Darris, and Brennan, and they were dispatched to an attempted suicidal subject call. As they were en route to the call, it was updated that the subject involved in this call had attempted suicide numerous times. Upon their arrival, they did an investigation and learned that there were 2 small children who were related to this subject. Sergeant Zafaris made the determination that his team was going to make entry into the residence to not only check the welfare of the suicidal subject, but also to ensure that the 2 small children who were likely inside that residence were okay as well. After making entry into the residence, Sergeant Zafaris and his team slowly and methodically moved their way through the house. They came upon the suicidal subject, who likely was minutes from death. And in another room inside the residence, they located, secured, and made safe the 2 small children who undoubtedly would have found that subject deceased the next morning inside of their residence. These officers did an outstanding job, not only, number 1, making the decision to make entry into that residence, but 2, ensuring that these children have somebody that they love and care for as they move on in their lives. I want to take the time to thank them for their hard work and also by making the LVMPD the safest community in America. Thank you. I'll take a minute to lay the foundation of that. I don't think it does a good enough job describing what our officers do every night. On a suicidal subject call or unknown trouble call, the determination that the sergeant makes is that we're going to make entry into that house. We don't know what we're going to find. There's a call that I remember distinctly when I worked patrol where it was a suicidal subject call. Nirvana band was playing in the back room. We made a determination to make entry. And last room, kicked the door, end up getting stuck in the door, and the subject's inside, armed with a knife. They could have easily found this same situation. Or a subject armed with a gun. Or a subject armed with a gun with the kid as a hostage. These men and women made a brave decision to go inside, and ultimately those children have their mother tonight because of the decision that they made. And I want to take the time to honor them for that. So again, on April 28, 2019, LVMPD officers were dispatched to a suicidal subject call. The details of the call and the officer's investigation revealed the suicidal subject had previously attempted to commit suicide and that there were likely children present inside of the residence. Sergeant Zafaris worked with his officers assigned to the event to develop an entry plan into the residence to check the welfare of both the suicidal subject and the children. Upon making entry, officers located the suicidal subject, who was minutes away from death due to an overdose of unknown pills and consuming a large portion of a bottle of whiskey. The entry team also located 2 small children who would have not been able to care for themselves and would have been in the house with their deceased mother for what possibly could have been a long period of time had it not been for these officers. The actions taken by Sergeant Jafaris, by Officer Abbott, Officer Austin, Officer Roski, Officer Darris, and Officer Brennan follow the recent awareness report produced by the Office of Internal Oversight on Community Caretaking Doctrine and the LVMPD values of courage and excellence. You are to be commended for your work during this event. And thank you for your time every night that you go out to work these streets. The only two officers that are missing are Officer Abbott and Officer Darris. They're both unavailable to come. But I wanted to present this to them in front of the citizens of Northwest so they know the work that these men and women do every night they go to work.
Swarovski. Officer Brennan.
Thank you. And next, from the Southern Nevada Health District, we have Heather Woods, who's going to come and discuss aquatic safety. Since we're in our summer months, and unfortunately, the LVMPD has already had to respond to children who have fallen into pools and ultimately become deceased, which is one of the worst calls that we can respond to. So I'll turn the time over to Heather.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for offering me to come and speak about pool safety. That's kind of a specialty that I do. I work for Southern Nevada Health District. I am an aquatics health inspector for the public pools. We only inspect public pools, and residential pools are not on our jurisdiction. I did want to recognize, I have two students here who have been helping me with the community project doing drowning prevention. They're both from Toro. They're Toro students, they're PA students, and they're helping with doing a research project for drowning prevention in our community for Clark County. I have Teresa here and Letty. They're both helping with that being said, I'm also part of the Southern Nevada Child Drowning Prevention Coalition that we promote drowning prevention throughout the community, and anything that we can help and offer and promote anything that might prevent a child from drowning. Media, any kind of life vest or anything, something to promote something that is said, maybe catches somebody and helps somebody along the way. Whether it be, you know, a grandparent, a parent, or even a child, to help another person when they're swimming. So I'd like to begin, as I have my information up here. I'm Heather Woods. I'm with the Southern Nevada Health District. So my presentation is basically, I have a little bit of public information for you, but also personal. Hopefully this, you guys can take whatever I give you and take it home and use it in your daily activities. If you have a pool at home, or if you go to pool parties or anything, that way you can use this knowledge at your convenience. So when we look at safety, we like to look at stuff that has, like, we post our signage. We like to look at barriers. Our barriers including our fences and our doors. Our equipment, what kind of safety equipment is available. And maintenance. A lot of people don't realize how much maintenance is involved in a pool, but there's quite a bit of maintenance involved in both protecting your loved one. And then who's involved in the purpose for our safety. So posting signs. I know many of you have gone to public pools, and you guys, I know a lot of people don't like to look at the signage, but the signage is kind of important. It offers us direction and guidance, not only for when you go to a public pool, but sometimes even at a private residence, having signage available for you that is at a personal pool. You can have signage available, such as like where the emergency phone's at, you know, or if somebody has a telephone, or 911, or even CPR posted by your personal pool. Public pools, we have the no diving signs, and if there's a lifeguard on duty, and if there's not, and where children are authorized to go, like spas and stuff. There is a certain age limit for spas. We don't want the little ones in the spas, and we don't want them in there too long because of health hazards that can happen when they're in the spa. And then how much, and then the pool rules and the occupancy. So another safety hazard we like to be aware of for us is having the depth markers, not only on the deck, but inside the pool. Because when you're swimming inside the pool, can you see those depth markers on the top? It's hard. So it's nice to have those depth markers. So that way when you're out there swimming, you see the depth markers on the side on the tile line, and make sure that they're visible, you know. And then I like Frosty here. Frosty got too hot and melted. Our barriers. Barriers are a huge concern because kids are attracted to water. I have 3 grandkids of my own, and my little 4-year-old, she loves the water. She's a fish. And she sees the water and she just wants to go play in it all the time, and it makes me concerned. And she sees toys and she wants to go, and she thinks she can swim without her life vest, but it's a no-no for her. But the fence, having those barriers secure. So we want to make sure that the gates self-close and self-latch. How many of you guys have personal pools at home, may I ask? Do you guys have some kind of protective measure inside your home? So you do? What do you guys have?
A safety pool cover that you can walk out on, but
You have retractable. Yeah, do you have?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I have a gate.
You have a gate. That's good. Gate's good.
I have a barrier.
That's good. Good. At least have a gate. Have some kind of even a door alarm. Even a door alarm. I even go to public pools and they have door alarms on their gates, which is wonderful. They have an alarm system where if the gate's left open, all of a sudden it starts flaring and it's like going off, and then people get annoyed, and so somebody's got to come shut the gate, which I love. For the residents, it might be annoying, but it's a good mechanism to have a backup system. So if the gate's open, so no kid can just squeeze. And we don't want even if it's just cracked up in a little, little kids, they're maneuverable. They squeeze through anything. So we have our doors. A lot of people forget about our doggy doors. Our doggy doors are a big deal for the little kids. I love this picture of this little boy with his dog. And so, yeah, it's on his way, And this one right here with the gate propped open with the toys. The toys are out by the pool. And it's good to keep those toys picked up so they're not attracted to go to the pool and get through and it's not propped open. Make sure those gates are closed. Make sure your doors are closed and all your barriers. Make sure they self-latch, self-close, because little ones, they can if the door doesn't latch, they can still push that door open and squeeze through. So just be aware of something like that, and check on your home every day. Check your barriers. Make sure even if a neighbor kid, the gate's not left open. If a neighbor kid's wander by and gets attracted to it, it's just out of pure curiosity for them. Safety equipment. This is a fun one. I like safety equipment because a lot of people like to use a buoy as a toy. Because it floats. I mean, it's fun. All the kids want to go out there and play. But they fail to realize that is actually there to save them and help them. And make sure they have that rope. If you have a buoy and you just throw it out at them, it doesn't help to save a drowning person to have the buoy out there and you can't pull them in without the rope. Make sure that rope's long enough for them to throw it out there and you can drag them back in. Have their shepherd's crook. You have your shepherd's crook out there, so if they're in the deep end, that somebody can reach into and grab them. Because I know I'm not a good swimmer. I would love to have a shepherd's crook, and that way I can pull them to the side of the pool. Be aware of, like I said, the deck and the handrails. Make sure they're not loose when you're getting in and out of the pool. That you don't have a loose rail and you slip and fall when you get out. We don't want that. And your decking is not slippery. There's no cracks or anything that are standing up there and make you trip and fall and hurt yourself. Again, the barrier, this little child coming in and trying to open the gate, it's safely locked, he can't get into it. Even at your home residence, have a first aid kit available. Even if it's in the kitchen or something close by, just have it available, ready, so that way if they have something happen, some kind of injury, it's available for them. And have their own personal rules posted. It's nice, you can say, even if you have it there ready for them, if you have it at kids, I know a lot of parents have kids' pool parties or adults will have pool parties, and people do get out of hand and, have to teach the children, even though this is a fun event, that we still have to have rules so we don't get hurt and injured. And then my favorite picture on this one is the pool with the light. There's no deck light around that pool, but the light in the pool works. And I know most residents don't usually have a light in the pool, but if they have lighting over the pool, to where you can see the bottom of the pool. If this pool didn't have light in it, you would not be able to see that person floating in there. So you would not know that person was in the pool at the time and maybe needed assistance. So that's a huge one, and we and also make sure that if you do have a light, make sure your GFI works properly. Just like when you have your bathroom and you're blow drying your hair or something, that GFI trips with the light, the electricity. We don't want anything to happen. Maintenance. I like this one. I know it's Vegas. We have green poles. Have you guys seen the green poles here? Yeah. So maintenance is a big one. So I just recently, this is one I went to this year. I just went to this one in April, as early as April. This pool was so green I could not see the bottom of the pool. And I understand residential pools get this way as well. The bottom part of the picture, the close-up picture, do you guys know what's in it? Mosquitoes, yeah. Yeah, this thing was full of larvae. I could not believe how much larvae was in this pool. It was amazing. In the short amount of time it took for this pool to turn green, the circulation system wasn't working. So maintenance is a big deal, even at your residential pool. Make sure that you can see the bottom of your pool. And the reason why I say that is make sure to see the bottom of your pool. If you cannot see this at the bottom, or your drain cover at the bottom of the pool, you should be alarmed and make sure it has clean, make sure your filters are clean, make sure your system is working properly. So that way you can see the bottom of the pool, and if you can see somebody's in there, you know, that's a big deal. But make sure, again, maintenance, your doors, your gates, again, your steps, your rails, make sure they're all in proper condition. And report anything. Even if you're at a public pool and you see something you notice, like, this doesn't look right. Just let somebody know. I'd rather, have somebody know than somebody get hurt. It's a good safety preventive measure, not only for you, but for the others and the children and everything. But another safety equipment, I mentioned the drain cover. This one is in really bad condition. So, do you guys ever look at your drain covers? These are an important mechanism. What these do is they prevent an entrapment hazard. So, these drain covers, they have a flow rating on them. So that somebody doesn't get stuck at the bottom and hold them down underwater. So keep an eye on this. We recommend that they change every 5 years, but if they're looking weathered and old and cracked and something's wrong with them, you can talk to even your pool service guy, or you can ask if it can be changed. But I understand there's expenditure in you having a drain pool. They dive in the pool. They actually go diving in the pool, and they will change these covers. So I think it's really important you guys keep an eye on those drain covers, even when you're at your own residence. But when we go out and look at pools, we look at these and we make sure that they're in good shape for the public, so that way there's no entrapment hazards. We don't want anybody stuck. So, responsible party, everybody. I think everybody's responsible. You as a public, me as an inspector, parents, everybody, make sure that everybody's responsible. Make sure that we follow the rules, report any hazards. Something you see, it's okay. I'd rather have something reported than not reported. Fix it, check it, make sure that at least maintenance looks at it. Survey the pool, make sure everybody, if you're a parent sitting there watching kids, just kind of keep your eye out, and if you see something, be aware of it, and just, you can bring it to their attention. Enforce the rules. We have our party animals. We do, it's Vegas. I've seen lots of party animals in Vegas. It's a fun town, but at the same time, we still have to be aware. And then make sure the water's clear, our green pool, make sure the water's clear. If it's turbid, even if the water is milky white, I've seen pools where they're just milky white and you can't see the bottom. So just be aware if something's wrong and needs to be adjusted. And again, I like to bring out lifeguard responsibilities. I know a lot of us go to like Wet n Wild, or we'll go to Bucket Bay, or we'll go somewhere, and we like to go and have fun. And we have that lifeguard there to make sure that they're watching over us. It's nice to make sure our lifeguards are responsible, that they're on the stand, they're ready, they're looking. And then I like this one personally because if you guys have get-togethers, you have a social gathering at your house and you have a pool, You know what? Does anybody know what they can do?
Oh, yeah. All right, lifeguard.
You can. So the public, you as public, get to hire lifeguards. There are services available, and I believe I found one that Metro actually offers. Yes, Metro actually offers lifeguard services to the public. So that way, when you have a public event, a private event, you guys can hire lifeguards. So that way, you have somebody who knows their safety procedures, knows CPR, and knows how to contact emergency services if needed. So I think that's a wonderful service. Make sure that, I like this guy, this is Vegas, he's at the pool. He's had a little too much fun, and he's sleeping in the spa. You might want to tell him, hey, can somebody check on this guy? He's had a lot of fun today, so we don't want to fall asleep in the pool. And we do have a lot of like our deck parties that you make sure that, you know, they don't get out of hand. Another one is our life vests. So our life vests for our kids and our water activities, you go to the lake or whatever, our life vests are actually, they have ratings for them. And make sure that you have a life vest if you're at the lake or something, and if you have kitties or anybody at any kind of pool. And the good way to check the life vest on a kid, I understand puddle jumpers are different, but if you have an actual life vest, is when they have the life vest that goes over their shoulders, pick them up by the shoulders of the life vest, and if it doesn't slip over their ears and arms, it fits them. So that's a good, I like to pass that to going around. When you have kids and you're out on the boat or the lake or anything like that. And if there's any severe weather, I know Vegas is crazy with the lightning storms, make sure you get away from the pool. Don't let the kids swim, just be careful out there. And then the purpose. Our purpose for our safety is overall, it should be obvious for us. But number one is to prevent drowning. We don't want any event. It's a scary, traumatic event for anybody to have that happen. We don't want any dehydration. Believe it or not, when you're out swimming, you sweat and you sweat in the pool, you don't realize it, and people do get dehydrated. Make sure you stay hydrated. And the water illness. So if something happens, make sure your filtration's working properly. And those kids, you know, we don't want anybody getting sick from anybody having an incident in the pool. And any kind of incident, vomiting even, we don't want anybody to have an incident from the pool. So we're doing this, make sure your maintenance and everything is taken care of so it clears out the pool properly. And then we prevent injuries. We don't want our injuries head and neck. And then at home, when you have your chemicals, make sure they're stored away. They're securely locked up. And they're put the, I mean, if you have liquid, make sure it's under the dry stuff. You don't want it on top. We don't want it to mix and cause any problems. So these are just simple little tips I like to pass forward. And then just our general safety issues. That would be me as a chemist up there. So I like Southern Nevada. We had a group there last year. We started a new program. We have the ABCD still. I don't know if anybody is aware of the ABCDs of the pool safety. And then now last year we started Patrol, Protect, Prepare. And this is just a new promotional from Get Healthy, Clark County Get Healthy website. And this is available on our website. And I do have information available for you guys, so you can go out. And this information is available to the public. So you go out, patrol the area, make sure you have your safety features in place. Make sure the kids are safe, everybody's okay. Just keep an eye out for any hazards or anything. Protect. Installing the proper fencing, installing your slicing, your door alarms, installing any kind of safety mechanism that might, protect them from getting into the pool. Having your buoy, Shepherd's Creek available, having your 911 posted available. And then prepare. This is a fun one. I like this one. So prepare yourself. Who has a good way to prepare for any kind of pool activity that you can think of that's simple? Sometimes it's free, and it's good to know in general all around. Anybody have an idea?
CPR.
Thank you, CPR. Great. UMC has a great offer They actually provide free classes for CPR. They do have initial $10 because they get a high rate of people coming in. They want to lock your place in, make sure that you can have a CPR class. You can get basic CPR class from UMC. And then when you go to class, they reimburse you $10. It's a free class they offer. So I think that's a wonderful thing that they offer for the public. And it's simple as taking first aid, CPR, so that you can have that. And it's not just for pool, it's for anything, any kind of first aid that might be needed, necessary for anybody, anywhere. So I think it's a great offer that they have for the public. And so I do have this information. I have swim links. I'll have to send Randy the information, but we do have swim lessons available for the county, and I will send that information to him, and he can provide that for you guys as well. And then I have our first aid CPR. I have some of the information available, and then also pool safety. If you want any extra information on pool safety, have anything you want to look at, the Red Cross and CDC has some great information available as well. So I do have a pamphlet out in the lobby here for you guys with all this information, so you can just pick it up and take it with you. And then I provided Randy with the link of my presentation, so that way you can have this there as well.
Our next presenter will be my Las Vegas Fire Department partner, Scott Thompson. And he's been busy. So he's the Las Vegas Fire Inspector for the city of Las Vegas and has been working hard to make sure that we message that we're not going to tolerate illegal fireworks and the chaos that they put into your neighborhoods. Now, when I say that, I say it carefully because I just told you that we have a limited amount of resources and we can't be everywhere. But if you report it, we will do our best to put the teams that have been pre-designated out there to go and find these illegal fireworks folks that the news interviews out in Pahrump that spend a couple $100s to keep us awake all night long, and we will enforce it appropriately with our partners from the fire department.
Good evening. I'm Scott. This is Marcus and Jason Glass. He's from TNT Fireworks. I brought him to kind of explain the difference to you guys between the safe and sane and the illegal stuff, since he's in the industry nationwide. So I'll let him go first, and then we'll talk about what Marcus and I do.
Thanks a lot, Scott. I had a feeling to wear a yellow shirt today. Looks like I made the right choice. Again, my name is Jason Glass. I'm with TNT Fireworks. I'm the general manager for that company in the state of Nevada. And we want to talk a little bit tonight about the difference between safe and sane and legal and the illegal fireworks. Does anybody know the difference between those two types of items? What makes something safe and sane and legal, and what makes something illegal? Does anybody know?
Money.
Money? The more you spend? No. Wrong answer. Sir? That's correct. So if it is a safe and sane legal item, first of all, you're going to be able to purchase it locally. It's available to be purchased at any of the booths that are open around town now. All of those booths are manned by nonprofit organizations, local nonprofit organizations. They've had to go through a training process and a permitting process to be able to sell these things. Those fireworks are available at the booths. Additionally, those items that are being sold in the booths have gone through a vetting process as well. Not only have they been tested at the manufacturer level, they've been tested at an independent testing facility in the state of Virginia through an outfit called the AFSL, American Fireworks Standards Laboratory. Additionally, when they come in here to the state of Nevada, and specifically to the Las Vegas jurisdiction, they're tested by Inspector Thompson and Marcus over here. They make sure that the fireworks that are sold are safe and function properly. The items additionally that show that they're safe and sane is that they have an additional California safe and sane logo on them. That means that they were tested and approved in the state of California as well. So if you see an item sold in the booth, stays on the ground, it just sparkles, snap, crackles, and pops a little bit, has that safe and sane California seal on it, you know that you're dealing with an item that's been approved and is legal to be sold and used here in the state of, here in southern Nevada. Now, when it comes to the illegal fireworks, can those be purchased at the booths? Obviously not. Those are purchased outside of the city and county limits, really. They're purchased through the Indian Reservation or out in Pahrump. Now, those items don't have the California Safe and Sane logo on them, but the real distinctive feature the gentleman brought out in the back is that they shoot up in the air, right? The actual composition of that item leaves the tube it's in and goes up into the air, and it does explode, and it has a report, usually a bang of some kind, and then flashes of light and color. Now, additionally, there's items like bottle rockets, firecrackers, Roman candles. Those things seem small, they seem like they might be allowed, but they're not. And the problem is with them is they are uncontrollable. And that's really kind of the biggest problem with the illegal fireworks that are coming into the county right now, is that they're uncontrollable, right? Once they leave, you can't do anything with them. You can't control where they go. They could end up in palm trees, they could end up in houses, garages, whatever. Additionally, too, with the reloadable mortars, I think you've probably seen these, the big tubes with the single shots that drop in. The problem you have with those things is a lot of times they can get knocked over in the heat of the moment. You drop it, you light it, you run, you can knock it over, and what happens when it gets knocked over? Who knows where it's gonna go, right? Might go into a crowd of kids, might go into the neighbor's house, who knows? So when you're out there, and hopefully you all will be celebrating, I recommend the fireworks at the TNT booths, but I hear there's someone else out there as well. If you're gonna celebrate, make sure you celebrate safely with the legal option. Avoid the illegals, and if you see illegal fireworks being used, do you have an outlet to be able to report that? Where? 311? Those folks are busy. So's the 911 call. Actually, a couple years ago, 911 was shut down for how many minutes? 90 minutes? Yikes. That's dangerous. That puts lives on the line. There's a new outlet. It's a website. It's called ispyfireworks.com. ispyfireworks.com. If you see something, or you see people shooting off illegal fireworks, and those are ones that shoot, go from there, and boom. You can report it through that website, and it creates a heat map. In fact, we had so much success with it last year that the heat map produced from the reports last year is where the task force, that's the police and the fire departments working together to crack down on the illegal use, is using the hot spots from last year as a template to start working the enforcement this year. So we encourage you, if you see something, report it. And then it can be used to help crack down in the future. Does anybody have any questions relating to the differences between safe and sane, legal fireworks, or the illegal aerial fireworks? Nope. Oh, sir, who did not wear a yellow shirt?
I begin with them. The sparklers, are they still available that the kids hold? If so, can they burn them?
Well, anything that has a spark can be warm enough to burn people. But
Are they still available?
absolutely, because they don't shoot in the air. So they are safe. Actually, an interesting thing about sparklers, the chemical composition has been changed over the years. They actually burn at a cooler temperature, so much so they create birthday candles out of them sometimes.
Okay, in regards to your question, the one element that is not factored in is human element. And even a safe and sane firework, if you alter it and mess with it, break it open, put it into anything, can cause injury. So that skews those stats. So as a firefighter, most of the horrific injuries from fireworks I've seen have been human related because people have altered them, whether it be a legal firework or an illegal firework. Now, a legal firework is not gonna go off in your hand and explode because we don't allow those to be sold right now. So like the firecrackers that the kids can hold on to, did everybody see the little girl that got hold of a cherry bomb back east in the news the other day? She lost some limbs and very seriously injured because her uncle or father had a cherry bomb and bought them, and she lit it and had it in her hands. So anyway, back to everybody understand. Now, did anybody here get a letter from the city of Las Vegas? That's good. That means your neighborhood was not in one of the worst areas. So that's a good thing because we mailed out ourselves over 4,000 letters to people in the city that said, last year your neighborhood was reported as a bad area to be in on the 4th of July. So tonight And the 4th, we have crews going to be visiting those areas. And we have task force that are going to go in large groups in one area at a time instead of just one guy. Because last year when I was doing enforcement, I had to stop and be confiscating things. And there's 8 more people down the street. And they're looking at me going, aren't you going to do something with us as soon as I get to them? I can only go so fast. So this year we're gonna try to have a bigger imprint, but use the site because we will use that to target where we're gonna go for enforcement. It's frustrating when your neighbor's doing it at 2 in the morning and shakes your windows, right? Or it's more frustrating when they set the house on fire because a power rocket goes through a window. So we don't want that to happen. So that's like Jason said, once it leaves, there's no control. We have wind variables. The other part of the stuff he was talking about, we have shrapnel injuries from fiberglass, people getting impaled in their eyes, hands, and little kids. 2 years ago, I remember a little girl, they were shooting fireworks. They strapped a couple together and went into the garage and severely burnt the little girl. So we don't alter any fireworks, leave them in their proper packaging, safe and sane. Leave the illegals, leave the big stuff to the professionals because they have pyro licenses and they do that for a reason. So anybody have any questions as far as enforcement? Marcus and myself were on the fireworks committee. And we're also involved in the commissioners thing that started this going after the illegal fireworks. So open it up for questions because I stand and talk forever. Awesome. Questions? No questions?
Repeat the website again?
iSpyFireworks.com. Just like it sounds.
iSpyFireworks.com. And we do ask, and please, I will drive that home. I am on a graveyard tonight and the 4th of July. Use that system versus 311 and 911. Our call takers need to be able to answer calls for emergencies. Now, certainly if a firework emergency occurs, then call 911. But otherwise, please utilize that internet-based, go ahead, sir.
Also with that website, there's a link on both Metro's Facebook page and the main website for Metro as well. So if they forget it, all they gotta do is look at it.
Thank you very much for that. So it's on our main website. Also, you can link that as well. So I'd like to take some time to thank my peers, Lieutenant Rick Given, Lieutenant Carmen Donegan, who are in the back of the room and thought I wasn't going to call them out. Sergeant Dan Salzano is still Lieutenant Troy Barrett. He's really kind of looking at Lieutenant Barrett anyway, but he left. And I want to thank our Northwest Community Oriented Policing team, who takes the time to set this up for us and then also follows up on things like the gentleman back there talking about abandoned houses that are back broken into. I want to take time to thank them, and then Kale for his time coming here and setting up cameras for us and videos and the time that he spent with myself and the captain preparing for this. And I'll turn the time over to Captain Larkin, and we're actually going to conclude. If you have any questions, the fire folks, I think we're going to hang out outside for a minute. They may not. I know they're super busy right now. The detectives in counterterrorism are right here. And again, I'll ask just to utilize that website, please, for reporting and be safe. Thank you all for coming.